So I was thinking about the fact that you were born and raised in Mazo,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes, I was.
And your mother, Lois, was a Reeve. That's a very familiar name to people watching. But was your dad, was he born and raised around here too?
He was in Mazo as well, yep.
Do you have any idea how many generations the O'Connell, because there's lots of O'Connells around here. Are you related to all of them or?
No, we're distant cousins with the Dennis O'Connell.
Okay.
But indirectly, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. But so several generations probably,
yes.
right?
I really don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. O'Connell is obviously Irish.
It's
Right. Okay.
pretty Irish, yeah.
So we really appreciate you stopping by and talking with us, taking the time. We've had you on our guest list for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, but
we've also had people ask for you to be on.
Yep.
Oh, well, then
Some people.
they must not have anything to do.
You have two sisters.
Yes.
Right?
Jackie and Kathy, yes.
Jackie and Kathy, and they're both older than you. No, one is younger.
Jackie's 2 years older, and my sister Kate is 2 years younger.
Oh, okay, 2 years younger.
Yeah.
All right. And then you've got two children.
Yes, Corey and Jamie.
And your wife is Deb.
Right.
And then you've got a granddaughter.
Yes. Kenley, yep.
Got it. We just do that kind of stuff just because some people watch and they don't. They say, who's Dan O'Connell? I think one of the things we wanted to talk about quite a bit today was start out at least with your wrestling. Wisconsin Heights, I mean, they don't even have a wrestling program anymore.
They don't know. It's just been, I think it's probably 10 years or more now since they've had a program.
But they had a very storied wrestling program.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they were very, very good back in this late 60s and in early 70s. We were quite good. Teams before us were very good.
Yeah.
And, we had a lot of success.
And Stan Andrews was your coach, and did he start the program? Because they didn't have a program at Mazo or Black Earth. That's when Wisconsin Heights started,
Stan
right?
did start the program.
In 65 or 66, right? And so you entered high school in 1970,
1970.
So I don't know, you don't like to talk about yourself that much, but I would say that you're probably one of the, if not the most decorated Wisconsin Heights wrestlers.
There was a lot of good wrestlers before me. When Jeff Voss was a state champion in 1970, I'm sorry.
1970.
And actually Jeff probably would have won 2 tournaments. His junior year, he got hurt in the semifinals. He cut his eye and was unable to wrestle for the state championship.
Okay. So he would have been, how much older was he than you?
Jeff was 4 years older than I was. Jeff graduated in 70.
Oh, so you never wrestled on the teams with him?
I never wrestled. And they had Jerry Reeve and Dave Parent and Rick Shinneman and Mike Shinneman and Dan. They just had a really, really good team. Yeah.
Were those the years that they went to state as a team? What was that year?
Well, they actually, the year that they graduated, Jerry and Jeff and Dave Parent went to state together. Mike Shinneman at the sectionals couldn't wrestle because he had boils. So Mike was a very good wrestler, probably would have made the state tournaments himself. And they ended up losing the state championship to, I believe, Merrill by 1.5 points. And they tied, I think, Wisconsin Rapids. Vice versa. It might have been Rapids won it and Merrill but Heights had a very, very, very good team. They just, Jerry took third, Jerry Reeve took third, and Jeff won it. And Dave Parent won some matches. And so they had a real good team.
That's an amazing thing because my freshman year, I got to play on the varsity of baseball, and the sectional teams that played for baseball, Wisconsin Heights, Jefferson, Madison East and Madison Memorial. There was one class.
Yes.
There was one, and it was the same with you guys,
Yeah,
right?
it was the same with us. Yes.
That's amazing
That's
to me that
unbelievable.
those guys. Well, even when you were in high school, was that true? When you
Yes.
wrestled,
Yes.
so you wrestled against the best other person in the state, not. I
The
mean,
best in your division.
yeah, not the best in the
in
the
every
state.
division.
Yeah,
Right. When we wrestled, when I was wrestling, if the section was at DeForest, I mean, we had Fond du Lac and teams from that part in Mineral Point and Stoughton. And,
yeah.
I mean, they're different areas, but it was tough. I mean, you had to wrestle. You wrestled the best of the best, or you competed against the best of the best, and it was pretty tough tournaments. I would say.
Were you the only person in your weight class that made it to state? Like, my
From
question
Heights,
is like, yeah, would you have ever had to wrestle somebody from Heights? Not, let's say, not to get to state, but like, you know what I'm asking? Like,
Did
was
you
there-
have to have wrestle offs just to make the varsity team? Right?
Well, you did, but I didn't. I mean, I didn't. We had a real nice team, and we had a full JV team at the time too. I mean, we had a lot of wrestlers. As everybody knew, our wrestling room was our lunchroom. We had to fold the tables up,
I
put
didn't
the
know that.
chairs, chairs away, and sweep the floor before we wrestled, and then you had to roll the mats off the stage and roll them out into the cafeteria. And after practice, you had to roll the mats back up.
Wow.
And but that was that's what it was back then. That was our wrestling room, the cafeteria. We never had a wrestling room. Now they do they did build a really nice wrestling room, of course, and now we don't have a team.
To me, that's like I played basketball. I played football for Stan, so I kind of knew what you guys were going through somewhat. But then I would look over, and this was after you graduated, but still he was the coach. And I would look over and see what they were doing. And I'd say, I'm so glad I'm playing basketball. I've never seen anything like it. Now, I don't know what other teams were like, but it's a tough sport all the way around. And maybe your coach, maybe that made it tougher, but nevertheless, it was
a tough sport, no doubt about it. There was a lot of, I mean, back in the day, everybody thought they had to lose a lot of weight to get down to a certain weight. And, it was just, they can't do that any longer. They test you, give you a skin full test now, and you can only lose up to so many pounds. But back in the day, it was crazy. I mean, I weighed 132. I cut down to 112. And,
no.
and it was
Percentage-wise, that is just, I mean, I don't even know what the percent, we could look that up, but that's a ridiculous amount of
it was
weight.
ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, I couldn't eat anything from Sundays to our dual meets were Thursday night. And then you couldn't eat. I couldn't have a piece of popcorn. I mean, I couldn't any water I had in my mouth. It was for brushing my teeth and for rinsing my mouth off. You couldn't. You just couldn't eat anything because you were so stupid. Nobody back in the day. We didn't know how to lose weight. So you just starved yourself. And I wasn't the only one. There was several gentlemen on the team that did the same thing, thinking that you had to cut all this weight to get down to where you wanted to wrestle, and so my senior year I wrestled it, and when I was a junior, I know I weighed 123 pounds. I cut down to 105, and so that's kind of the way it was back then. And it wasn't me; it was all. I mean, it wasn't just me; it was all over the state. Wrestlers did the same thing, But it was pretty hard on my mother at the time because she would never have supper.
Mm-hmm.
When I come home for practice, she'd always wait till 9:30, 10 o'clock to eat her supper because she didn't want me to smell food and she didn't want me to.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess
nice
that
of
makes
her.
sense.
And then
That's
she,
nice.
then at nighttime, she'd oftentimes cook popcorn, and the smell of popcorn drove me nuts. But she really, I kind of made it rough on her because it was just, you couldn't eat anything. She knew that.
Yeah.
And she was a fantastic cook. And then later on in my senior year, I actually, it helped me when I cooked. I baked cookies and brownies and that actually kind of helped me, even though I know I can eat them
Okay.
till the weekend. But and I was a malt maker, and I love malts, but I couldn't eat a malt. But I'd make malt for my brother-in-law, my sister Jackie, and
tough.
and my mother and whatnot. But I guess the smell of food, I could get by it if I was making it, but I just didn't. My mother went through some rough times with me not being able to eat.
Yeah, that's tough for a mom to watch somebody skinny down that way.
Then,
So did you wrestle 98 as a freshman?
yeah,
And then 105?
105 my sophomore my sophomore and junior year. Yeah,
Oh, both.
yeah.
Wow. Boy, you're just starting to, get muscle as a young man, and boy, that's tough on your body, isn't it?
Well, it
Staying
is.
down
I mean,
that low.
it is, and it was, and like I said,
Yeah.
it was a lot of people did it
Yeah.
throughout the state, but it was a time probably where you should be eating,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I've ever had a growth spurt. I'm still only 5'7", so I think I've been there for quite a while, but it just is. It was just one of those things. I don't know. People thought they had to lose a lot of weight to wrestle, and I know that you couldn't wait after weigh-ins to have your whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So many people eat the wrong things, but my favorite thing was I had a concoction that Stan helped make up, or told me how to make it or whatever, and
Concoction.
and I had raw egg and honey and peach juice and in a quart jar, and you get done weighing in, and that's what that was supposed to be instant energy.
Energy drink back then, huh?
I guess
Yeah.
that was. I couldn't think of having a raw egg in anything anymore. But,
Yeah.
but no, Stan was a good coach, and we were always in the best of shape.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of guys that maybe were average wrestler, and they wrestled a real good wrestler, and they'd run the guy out of gas, and our guy would end up winning. But Stan was made you work hard, but you were rewarded for it.
Yeah. Did you start wrestling as a freshman? There was no youth program.
Well, I didn't wrestle. The only youth, I was thinking about that. The only youth tournament that I ever wrestled in was down at Wrestling Center, and it was outside, and it was July, I believe. And they had the mats outside, no cover on them, and the mats were so hot. I mean, it was like if they were all black wrestling mats. I remember, and you put your knees on them or whatever, and I was thinking, boy, if I had to wrestle outside the rest of my life, I wouldn't go out for it because it was terrible. But that was the only tournament I ever wrestled with. I got to go along with when Jerry Reeve and Jeff Voss and Dave Parent and Rick Shinneman. I got to go to a lot of the meets with them. And,
you did? Okay.
And that really, really helped me out. They really, really brought me a long ways. You'd roll around the mat with them before a tournament or something, and just learn from them.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course Stan and Lee Eklund and the wrestling room. Right. So we did a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you know, and I wouldn't think this is bragging at all, but did you know you were a good wrestler right kind of from the start, or did you kind of not have great confidence until you started? When did you go to the state tournament as a sophomore?
Sophomore, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know as a freshman, I think I'm going to be pretty good
well,
at this?
as a freshman, I actually, when I started the season, I weighed 86, 87 pounds.
Oh.
So I was, me and the heavyweight, Rod Wallace, were the only ones that could eat on the bus. And I found out in a short while that I could take a lunch to the wrestling meet, and I found out that don't do that anymore. You better sit up front with Stan because you're going to get killed.
Yeah,
these guys are spitting in cups and losing a lot of weight, and here I am. And Stan wanted me up front eating bananas and bread, and so I started gaining some weight. But yeah, I got my hind end handed to me a lot when I was a freshman. I was like a munchkin, I guess, and we had a lot of good wrestlers in our conference. I mean, and it seemed like every time I turned around, I wrestled a guy from Wanakia, Kerwick, and he had taken third in the state, and Bobby Trapino was a two-time state champion, 112. But he was in our conference, and I had wrestled in my freshman year. It was like I thought that my lips were supposed to be behind my ears, and it was just pummeling. I remember Stan saying, "Just don't get pinned," and boy, oh boy, you did your best to not get pinned. But man, I took some whoppings.
Yeah.
But no, Stan was always encouraging. It was just you wanted to win because our teams are really, really good, and it was always a battle between DeForest, Wanakee, always, and they always had real nice teams too. But I think we won more than we lost, but we really had some battles.
So your sophomore year, you went at 105.
Yeah.
And can you give us just a quick synopsis of how that went? Did you lose right away?
Yeah,
or-
I did. I actually did. I was actually 27-4 when I went to state tournaments, and I lost to a kid from Jim Thunes from Ashwaubenon. And I remember that because I wrestled him again my junior year, and then I beat him. But
Took care of business.
he was. I don't know, stage fright. Maybe I had a little bit there the first time.
Yeah. Those are
He
bright lights.
was a year older than I was, and I guess I had higher expectations. I really thought that had I got through that match, and of course I would have had a wrestle back, but he lost his next match, so then you don't get a wrestle back.
I see.
So that was hard to take. I still remember how disappointing it was.
Say that again. I missed that. What place did you come in? You came in second your junior year then?
Fourth.
Fourth your junior year.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your sophomore year?
I didn't place.
You didn't place.
I
Okay.
placed.
So you came in fourth, and then your senior year, you won it all.
My senior year I won it all. Yep. Against Velasquez from Racine Park. He had beat me my junior year in the semifinals, and I just really feel I blew that one. I just I got taken down. I thought I took him down, and the whistle blew, and I ran back to center mat, and I got tackled, and he got 2 points.
Oh.
And because I thought the whistle blew, and I was going to go back, I thought we were in a starting position, and then I got a bloody nose, and and Stan wasn't very happy with me for being so stupid with thinking. But I thought the whistle blew because they had 6 mats. And they're side by side.
Yeah.
It's like a tournament up
Yeah.
at the Jag playing
and,
basketball.
That's how the state tournament was. You had 6 matches going at all times. But anyway, he had beat me by a point. My junior year, his junior year, Velasquez, and he went undefeated, and he ended up winning the state tournaments. And I had him on my mind my whole senior year. So.
I hope you'll indulge us. You kind of set that up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
We were going to play the clip of your match, your championship match with the gentleman you're talking about. And I remember, I'm pretty sure it was Channel 27. Don't quote me on
it
that.
was 27.
But I remember sitting there at home watching that.
I think
And
everybody.
I would think
I think
It's a big deal.
I would
bet.
think it was a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so maybe what we can do is
I probably won't play the audio because it's
Yeah.
a little bit rough.
yeah. Well,
But maybe you can talk about it because you score a point in it, and I don't know what you did.
Just
All the other stuff looks like more points scored than what you did.
well,
No,
yeah.
I don't
it's
understand
just
wrestling
called
at
an
all.
escape, but it was
Do you mind? Do you
No,
mind
no,
walking
that's
us through it?
fine.
Because I think people would enjoy that. So
I can
there-
read this here.
yeah.
It says Dan O'Connell, Wisconsin Heights, 31-0 senior against Gilbert Velasquez, Racine Park, 27-0 senior.
That's a big
And
school.
then it says that Velasquez was the returning state champion in 1974. He won the 105-pound title in 1973. He had a 52-match winning streak going into this finals
Unbelievable.
match.
Did you know that?
yeah. That was the only time he ever been
Lots
beat.
of
That's
fuel
the
for
only
the
time
fire.
he ever got beat.
Wow.
Wow, just think how disappointed he was, huh? That's the way
That's
it goes,
okay.
right?
Too bad, huh?
Too bad.
Too bad.
He's got a champion smirk on his face.
Well, the one thing that
Still got that edge.
I'll tell you that my father passed away in 1969, and he got into wrestling watching Jerry and Jeff Foss and the Shinnemans and the entire team, and he really enjoyed wrestling. And he got cancer, and he really wanted me to wrestle, and he that was going to be kind of a dream for him to be able to watch me wrestle, and he had talked to Jerry Reeve about it and Ralph and whatever. I guess he wanted me wrestling, and Jerry taught me a lot. I mean, it was pretty hands on, and so it was his birthday on the night of the state championship, and I wasn't going to lose to anybody.
Wow.
So, even though it was 1-0 match, I still thought I dominated the match. But if you listen to the match, and I think in the third period they called me for stalling, and the whole crowd went nuts because they thought it was a little bit silly that they called stalling. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, go ahead and let's watch
Yeah,
it.
maybe you can, if you want, you can kind of give us a breakdown since we're novices when it comes to wrestling. What
This
is
is Dan over here.
I was wondering, what is on the left? What is this right here? Is this like feeling each other out when you do that?
Yeah,
kind of?
he was really, really good on his feet. He's a takedown artist, and he was just very, very quick. The Velasquez family was synonymous for every one of them were. I think every one of them were state champs.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and his brother Frankie was a four-time state champ.
Wow.
At 98. He won 4 titles for Racine Park. And all
98 pounds.
98 pounds, yeah, his brother. And of course, you're reluctant to do anything stupid. And I guess, he was trying to feel me out. I'm trying to feel him out. And
What's that right there? What kind of move is that?
well, you're just tying up, trying to feel. You're trying to get in a situation to be able to take him down. And I had wrestled in the semifinals. I wrestled a guy that Gilbert had wrestled twice previous from Milwaukee Boys Tech, and they went into overtime twice. And the boy from Milwaukee Boys Tech was a two-time. He was a very good wrestler, very, very strong, and like I said, previous matches he went into overtime with Velasquez, regionals and sectionals, and in the semifinals. And I'm not bragging, but I was beating him 10-0 in the first period, and I pinned him in the second period, 2 minutes and 37 seconds. And then I remember him coming up to me. I was before the finals, and I was rolled up. I was in the Wisconsin wrestling room. I rolled up in the mat, and he wanted to congratulate me, and I didn't know, but I broke one of his ribs. Not intentionally.
Sure.
But he said that he said he thought I was going to pin Velasquez. I mean, he said,
Wow.
But he helped pump me up a little bit too.
Nice, yeah.
I didn't pin him.
No, but
You beat him.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
oh,
See, that's where I would have thought
Well,
there's a point.
were you
but-
scared there?
Well, there was a little time left. The match is he blows a whistle here, and the first period ends. Yeah,
Oh, that was first period.
Yeah, I tried for an arm drag there, and I just didn't pull him all the way through. I don't know. I've always thought about, and to this date, I always thought that maybe if he had scored the first points, that I might have handled him a little bit better. But I don't know.
Yeah. So that's the first period.
That's first period.
Okay. And he was up on top.
He's on top,
okay.
so I'm going for an escape here, trying to control his hands, and
And escape was worth 1?
it's worth 1. Yeah.
So this, okay.
So he's okay. So
that's the
your
1 point.
That's the one. That's
That's the
Scored in
winner.
second period.
scored in the second period. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And so again, we joust back and forth and try to get in position. And I mean, it just
Can they get you for stalling when you're just kind of dancing
Oh, yeah.
around there? Can
Yeah,
they
if you're
tell
not
you to
making-
engage or
if you're
something?
not trying to engage, you're trying to move forward.
This one looks tough. Oh,
This is the third period now.
yeah.
Now I gotta. I mean, in this here, you either gotta ride him out, or if he escapes, he gets a point, of course, or if he reverses me or whatnot. And then there's a point here where I don't know. I felt I was a little bit reluctant. I'm actually, and I think it's soon here that the referee signals for stalling, and if the audio was on, you'd hear the crowd. They went.
We can play it here. See if you can hear it.
I think
I remember what you were saying.
right here. Listen.
Oh, you can hear
Yeah,
it.
you can hear it. Yeah.
You can't hear it very well on the audio, but you could hear it.
Yeah,
So if you get 2 of those, then he gets a point, or what's?
yeah. You get a warning, and then the next one would be a point. Yeah.
Wow.
That was kind of tough because that made you could have stayed there a while and kind of jostled with him, right?
Yeah, I could have. I mean, I
Because at that point, you're just holding on for dear life to just because you know you're up. You're trying to just not make any mistakes, probably, right?
yeah. You mean you have to stay in control, and I just felt like that was one of my I could ride really well, and that's what that's called, is riding. And there's only 1 second left in the match, but he, Jerry, I had the same ride that Jerry Reeve had taught me over the years, and I was pretty.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Now I noticed at the end here, for somebody who, and maybe you celebrated more, you were fairly,
subdued.
Yeah,
Not
you
subdued,
weren't,
because-
We had so many on that side of the man. We had so many people you wouldn't even believe it. I mean, Heights, Wisconsin Heights. It was like that lower section.
Well,
First,
right here, you can see somebody kind of when
Yeah, I see
they're
somebody jumping.
fist
Yeah.
pumping and stuff here.
but that whole side was. I mean, that whole side was just about
See that?
the whole
Yeah.
side.
At the bottom there, they're all jumping up and down.
It was nerve wracking even sitting at home. I can't imagine what it was like for relatives and friends and
Well, I
fans.
mean, we had it was just crazy. I mean, I looked up and our fans like to party a lot, and the ones that were at the state tournaments, and they enjoyed themselves, and they made themselves be known. They were pretty raucous and really, really. It was really, really nice to see that the following that we had back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have a match at Wisconsin Heights, and if you didn't get there at 6:30, you were standing in the doorways trying to peek over somebody's shoulders because you couldn't sit down in the bleachers.
Unbelievable.
It was a big deal back then. We've got just a minute here before we have to pause, and then we'll come back a little bit. But I was going to ask you, that was in 1974.
Yes.
Right. So in a year and a half, it'll be 50 years. Can you believe that? Does it still seem? I mean, like you're talk. I bet you could talk even more detail about things there. Could you? It's like yesterday.
Yeah. I don't know why it is, but I tell you, it's amazing. I could tell you just about everybody I wrestled my senior year, from Lodi to Mount Horeb to, and it's just amazing. And my senior year, we wrestled in what they call the Tri-State Wrestling Tournament, which was in end of December, which is 8 schools. I think it was 8 schools from Wisconsin and 4 from Illinois and 4 from Iowa.
Wow.
And they were having a gas crunch that year, so Iowa didn't bring a couple of their teams. I think a couple came, but Iowa wrestling is fantastic, and Illinois wrestling is fantastic.
Yeah.
And so that was a really good tournament to wrestle in, and we wrestled in that. I'd won the tournament there in December, and but there was, man, that was really a stacked tournament. And you had the best teams in the state there too. It was, Wisconsin Rapids and Stoughton and all those teams. And boy, Stoughton has always been a powerhouse. Rapids was really a powerhouse. Mineral Point and all those schools, but Mineral Point, as small as schools they are, they're just unbelievable. The wrestlers they put out along with Stoughton. But yeah, when it was one class, it was really something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many 4 times now. There's been quite a few 3 and 4 times state champions. I'm not sure how many there ever would have been if they stayed in one class.
Yeah, right.
And there's been some fantastic wrestlers that probably would have won 4 state titles. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's certainly it's a lot more challenging when there's only one class.
Unbelievable.
Well, let's take a break here.
Yeah.
And if you'll stay with us, we want to talk Mazo Mustangs baseball for a little bit.
Okay.
And then just a little bit about your last few years here, your heart and stuff like that, your
Okay,
health
that's fine.
situation.